Welcome to Math with Mr. J.
In this video, I'm going to go through a step-by-step guide to multiplying mixed numbers. I'll cover how to multiply two mixed numbers by whole numbers, mixed numbers by fractions, and how to use cross-cancellation. Let's start with multiplying two mixed numbers. We will go through two examples. Let's jump into number 1, where we have 6 and 1/4 times 1 and 2/3. Now remember, when we have a multiplication problem that involves fractions, we can multiply straight across. So we multiply the numerators, the top numbers, and then we multiply the denominators, the bottom numbers. So our first step here is to convert the mixed numbers to improper fractions. That way we just have numerators and denominators and we can multiply straight across. So let's start by converting 6 and 1/4 to an improper fraction. We do that by starting at the bottom and working our way to the top. We multiply and then add. So we multiply the denominator by the whole number and then add the numerator. So 4 times 6 is 24 plus 1 is 25. That's the numerator of the improper fraction. Then we keep the denominator the same. So that is 4 times, and then we can convert 1 and 2/3 to an improper fraction. So multiply and then add. 3 times 1 is 3 plus 2 is 5. Keep the denominator of 3 the same. Now we just have numerators and denominators and we can multiply straight across. Let's start with the numerators. So 25 times 5. That gives us 125. Now for the denominators. 4 times 3, that gives us 12. So we end up with 125 over 12, or 125 twelfths, which is our answer, but it's an improper fraction. So let's convert it to a mixed number. We do that by dividing the numerator, 125, by the denominator, 12. So 125 divided by 12. How many whole groups of 12 in 125? Well, 10. And that's the whole number of our mixed number. That gets us to 120. So we have a remainder of 5. We don't hit 125 exactly. That remainder of 5 is the numerator of the fractional part of the mixed number. And then we keep the denominator of 12 the same. And we get 10 and 5/12. We can look to see if we can simplify the fractional part of this mixed number. 5/12 is in simplest form. The only common factor between 5 and 12 is 1. So we are done. 10 and 5/12. Now, just for a quick recap, I'm going to write out how we went from that improper fraction of 125 twelfths to the mixed number of 10 and 5/12. Again, we divide the numerator, so 125, by the denominator, 12. So 125 divided by 12. We can start with 12 divided by 12, which is 1. Multiply 1 times 12. Is 12, subtract, 12 minus 12 is 0, and then bring down. Now we repeat, so go back to divide. So we have 5 divided by 12, which we can't do that, so we need a 0 here. 0 times 12 is 0. Subtract, 5 minus 0 is 5. So 10, remainder 5. 10 is the whole number of our mixed number. The remainder of 5 is the numerator, and then we keep the denominator of 12 the same. So again, our final answer, 10 and 5/12. Let's move on to number 2. For number 2, we have 8 and 1/2 times 3 and 7/8. Let's start by converting these mixed numbers to improper fractions. We will do 8 and 1/2 first. So 2 times 8 is 16, plus 1 is 17 over 2, so 17 halves, times, now for 3 and 7/8, so multiply and then add. 8 times 3 is 24, plus 7 is 31. And then we keep the denominator of 8 the same. Now we can multiply straight across, and we will start with the numerators. So 17 times 31. For number 2, this is going to take a little more work than number 1. I'm not sure what 17 times 31 is, so I'm going to go to the side and write this out and multiply. So let's do 31. I'll put the larger number in value on top, times 17. 7 times 1 is 7. 7 times 3 is 21. Now we need a 0, and then we have 1 times 1 is 1, and then 1 times 3 is 3. Add, 7 plus 0 is 7, 1 plus 1 is 2, and then 2 plus 3 is 5. So we get 527 for the numerator, and then as far as the denominators, we have 2 times 8, which is 16. So we end up with 527 over 16, or 527/16. That is our answer, but it's an improper fraction. So let's convert it to a mixed number by dividing the numerator, 527, by the denominator, 16. Now, I'm not sure what that answer is, so again, I'm going to come off to the side and work through that. So 527 divided by 16. So we will start with 52 divided by 16. How many whole groups of 16 in 52? Well, 3. That gets us to 48. Multiply 3 times 16 is 48. 52 minus 48 is 4. Bring down the 7, and now we repeat. So we divide. We have 47 divided by 16. How many whole groups of 16 in 47? Well, 2. That gets us to 32. And now we can multiply. 2 times 16 is 32. Subtract, and we get 15. So 32, remainder 15. That means 32 whole groups of 16 in 527. So that's the whole number of our mixed number. And then we have a remainder of 15. So that's the numerator of the fractional part. And then we keep the denominator of 16 the same. So we get 13 and 15/16. We can check to see if we can simplify the fractional part of the mixed number. 15/16 is in simplest form. The only common factor between 15 and 16 is 1. So we are done. Final answer, 32 and 15/16. So there you have it. There's how to multiply a mixed number by a mixed number. Let's move on to multiplying a mixed number by a whole number. Now we will take a look at multiplying a mixed number by a whole number. Let's jump into our example where we have 5 and 5/6 times 3. Now the first thing that we want to do, we want to convert our mixed number to an improper fraction and then write our whole number as an improper fraction. Let's start with the mixed number, and we start at the bottom and work our way up. So we multiply and then add. So we do our denominator times the whole number, so 6 times 5, which is 30, plus the numerator of 5. So 30 plus 5 is 35. That's the numerator of our improper fraction. We keep the denominator of 6 the same. So we get 35 over 6. Now that improper fraction is equivalent to the mixed number. We just converted it to an improper fraction. So we're not changing the value of the problem at all. Now we need to write our 3 as a fraction. So put it into fractional form. And all we need to do to put a whole number in fractional form is put it over 1. We want an improper fraction and the whole number to be in fractional form, so all we have is a top and a bottom. That way we can multiply straight across. So once we're at this point, we can multiply straight across. So numerator times numerator and denominator times denominator. Let's start with the numerators. So 35 times 3. 35 times 3 gives us 105. As far as our denominators, we have 6 times 1, which is 6. So our answer as an improper fraction is 105 sixths, or 105 over 6. Now let's convert that to a mixed number, and we do that by dividing our numerator by the denominator. So 105 divided by 6. I'm going to come to the side here to work through that. So we have 105 divided by 6. The first thing we need to do, we need to find out how many whole groups of 6 are in 105. That's going to be the whole number part of our mixed number. So let's start with 10 divided by 6. How many whole groups of 6 out of 10? Well, 1. 1 times 6 is 6. Subtract. 10 minus 6 is 4. Bring down our 5. So we have 45 divided by 6 now. How many whole groups of 6 out of 45? Well, that's going to be 7. That gets us to 42. So 7 times 6 is 42. Subtract, and we get a remainder of 3. So we do not hit 105 exactly. We have something left over, that remainder 3. So 17 whole groups of 6 out of 105. That's going to be our whole number portion of the mixed number. Now we had a remainder of 3. That's going to be the numerator of the fractional part of our mixed number. And then we keep our denominator of 6 the same. So we get 17 and 3/6. Always check to see if you can simplify the fractional part of a mixed number. And in this case, we can. We have a common factor of 3 between 3 and 6. So let's divide both of these by 3 in order to simplify. And we get 17. 3 divided by 3 is 1. And then 6 divided by 3 is 2. So we get 17 and a half for our final simplified answer. There's how to multiply a mixed number by a whole number. Let's move on to multiplying a mixed number by a fraction. Now we will take a look at multiplying a mixed number by a fraction. Let's jump into our example where we have 4 1/4 times 3/5. Now the first thing that we need to do, we need to convert that mixed number to an improper fraction. That way we just have a numerator and a denominator, a top and a bottom. So we do that by multiplying and then adding. We start at the bottom and work our way to the top. So we multiply, then add. So our denominator times the whole number. 4 times 4 is 16, and then we add the numerator. So 1, 16 plus 1 gives us 17. That's the numerator of our improper fraction, and then we keep the denominator of 4 the same. Bring down our multiplication sign, and then our fraction. At this point, we are ready to multiply, and we multiply straight across when we multiply fractions. So the numerator times numerator, and then denominator times denominator. Let's start with the numerators, the top numbers. So 17 times 3, that gives us 51. Our denominators, the bottom numbers, we have 4 times 5, which gives us 20. So we get to 51/20ths, and that's our final answer as an improper fraction. Now we can convert that to a mixed number. We do that by dividing. We divide our numerator, 51, by our denominator, 20. So we need to think, how many whole groups of 20 can we pull out of 51? Well, 2. That gets us to 40. Now, we do not hit 51 exactly. We have something left over, a remainder. So if we pull 2 whole groups of 20 out of 51, that's pulling 40 out of 51. So we have a remainder of 11. That's the numerator of our mixed number. And we keep our denominator of 20 the same. So to recap, I'm going to write this out off to the side. We did 51 divided by 20. So how many whole groups of 20 out of 51? Well, 2. That's the whole number part of our mixed number. 2 times 20 is 40. So let's subtract to get our remainder. 51 minus 40 is 11. So we get 2, remainder 11. That remainder of 11 is the numerator part of the fractional part of the mixed number, and then we keep our denominator of 20 the same. Always check to see if you can simplify the fractional part of a mixed number. 11/20 is in simplest form. The only common factor between 11 and 20 is 1, so we are done. 4 and 1/4 times 3/5 equals 2 and 11/20. There's how to multiply a mixed number by a fraction. Let's move on to using cancellation when multiplying mixed numbers. Now we will take a look at using cancellation when multiplying mixed numbers. Let's jump into our example where we have 10 and 1/8 times 4 and 4/9. Now the first thing that we need to do, we need to convert these mixed numbers to improper fractions. That way we just have a numerator and a denominator. We'll start with 10 and 1/8. So let's go from the bottom and work our way to the top. So we multiply and then add. We do our denominator times the whole number. So 8 times 10, which is 80, plus our numerator, which is 1. So 80 plus 1 is 81. That's our numerator of the improper fraction. We keep our denominator of 8 the same. We'll bring our multiplication sign down and then convert our second mixed number. Start at the bottom, we multiply, and then add. So 9 times 4 is 36, plus 4 is 40. So that's our numerator, and we keep our denominator of 9 the same. So we have 81/8 times 40/9. 81/8 is equivalent to 10 and 1/8. It's just in the form of an improper fraction, and then 10 and 1/8 is in the form of a mixed number. Both of those are equivalent. So when we convert to an improper fraction, we're not changing the value of anything. And then 40/9 is equivalent to 4 and 4/9. Again, we did this, so we just have a numerator and a denominator, and we are able to multiply. At this point, we can multiply straight across. So we can do 81 times 40, and then 8 times 9. But we can use cross cancellation, and this is a way to simplify fractions before multiplying. It gives us smaller and easier numbers to work with, therefore a simpler problem to solve. We cross cancel by looking for common factors between the numerators and denominators, so the top and bottom. Think of it as simplifying fractions, but we can look diagonally as well. For example, we have 81 and 9. So 81 right here and 9 diagonally. We can look for common factors there. A common factor between 81 and 9 is 9. So what we can do, we can divide both of those by 9. So let's cross them out and divide them both by 9. 81 divided by 9 is 9. And then 9 divided by 9 is 1. So you can see that gave us some smaller numbers in value and easier numbers to work with. We can also look the other way diagonally. So between 8 and 40, do we have any common factors? Yes. The greatest common factor between 8 and 40 is 8. So let's divide them both by 8. So 8 divided by 8, let's cross it out. That's going to give us 1. And then 40 divided by 8 is 5. Once we get to this point, we can multiply straight across. 9 times 5 is 45. And then 1 times 1 is 1. Now 45 over 1, that equals 45. So let's write our answer as a whole number instead of leaving it as an improper fraction. So our final answer, 45. Now, if we did not use cross cancellation, we would have to multiply 81 times 40 and then 8 times 9 and then simplify from there. And eventually we're going to get the same answer. So cross cancellation is a useful tool when we have multiplication problems that involve fractions. Again, it gives us smaller and easier numbers to work with, therefore a simpler problem to solve. Think of it as simplifying the problem before multiplying. Now, can we use cross cancellation for every single multiplication problem that involves fractions? No, we have to have common factors other than 1 between our numerators and denominators. If the only common factor we have is 1 between our numerators and denominators, we can't use cross cancellation. So something to keep in mind. So there you have it. There's a guide to multiplying mixed numbers. I hope that helped. Thanks so much for watching. Until next time, peace.